Hello, everybody. I'm Kipp Snow, Director of the Transportation Distribution and Logistics Institute at the Community College of Baltimore County.
Hey, everybody. Mike Singer, Community Manager, Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. Welcome to the Shipwatchers podcast. Just two guys talking ship.
Episode 38.
Episode 38. Yeah, so we took a little break. I started a brand new job. Life was crazy, and I couldn't get myself together.
It's all right.
I didn't even, and be on the same page, I didn't even shave today. So y'all just might want to just go non-video.
It's what you get for waking up at the crack of dawn Saturday morning.
Right, yeah. The old, when you want to sleep, you can't. And when you can't sleep, you don't have anything to do. Yeah. That whole thing.
I was going to say, let's get into shipping updates, but before we get into shipping updates today, we're going to talk a little bit about something that happened this week. Our Mike got recognized in front of the there's only one other Mike on this call right this So you were recognized this week by the state of Maryland and Anne Arundel County. There were both the House and the Senate issued resolutions on your behalf. Now, what could you have done to be given two resolutions and then a citation by the county? Did you get in trouble? No.
Well, no, I think somebody's getting in trouble, and there's about 40 lawsuits.
Well, that's So what happened this week? Mike was recognized by the state legislature, both in the House and the Senate. And he was called to attend session on this past Thursday, and he had to get up in front of both the House and the Senate, and his respected delegates read off a resolution in support. There you go, excellent. Thank you for putting that picture up. For having the camera that captured the Key Bridge collapse. And so they're both, so what transpired here, there was a tremendous amount of pomp and circumstance. And we had a small crew that came to help support Mike. And we sat up in the rafters and in the chambers and were able to listen and watch the readings. And they both, the House and the Senate, provided a summary of what happened. It was both were very eloquent in explaining the role that the Shipwatchers had in this and what Mike had done with the camera. And then they went and read the actual resolutions, and then they all voted. It was really cool that everybody voted for the resolution.
Right.
And I did take some video, and I showed that everybody voted yes. I was curious to, I was hoping nobody would put no on
dissenters?
there. Any dissenters? But no, it was in both the House and Senate, they were unanimous votes, and so that both of those resolutions now stand for eternity in the state of Maryland, recognizing Mike Singer and his efforts for capturing the bridge collapse in the Streamtime Live videos. So. Any thoughts that you had from that?
It was a whirlwind. I really didn't know what to expect, but what an incredible honor. And the way Delegate Latoya, who is in the photo here right next to me, the way she read that, I'm standing up there. I have no idea what to do. Okay, you come here. All right, stop. All right, what? Okay, now go up here. All right, she's going to hand you you've never done this before. And if you've never seen it happen to anybody else, then you really have no clue what's going on.
Sure.
And so I'm kind of standing up there and the emotions are starting to come over me. And I'm like, all right, buddy, get it together.
We were up in the I say rafters, in the second story balcony
gallery.
In the gallery to witness everything. And with with our crew that was there to help support you. There were a couple of throat lumps and slight tears and things of excitement.
Well, that's incredible. I appreciate you telling me that. I don't know how to react to that. That's
all right. I just let it, just let that one mull for a little bit. There was a lot of love and support and appreciation. So I know that we were all glad to be able to participate with you in that. So it was a great cool. honor to see it and to be a part of that. So I wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to see this also, and who because there's only so many seats in the chamber,
right?
But, in the gallery there, but it was great to be able to participate in that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was an incredible honor, and so I guess they have when they do these and they want to do them. Do they always do? No, So for some reason, Bill Pierce. So a big shout out to Bill because he's the guy who kind of spearheaded this and got this ball rolling. So let's just go ahead and roll through. So if it wasn't for Matt Abbott, who said, "Hey, I know this company that has cameras," and if it wasn't for my friend Joe Pasco, who was willing to go way beyond what you would expect somebody to, have cameras hanging off his house.
Sure.
Just give me full access to his house whenever I need to, like, because it's, sometimes you got to fix stuff like on the computer or the router or whatever. Helping to run like Cat 5 or Cat 6, like a couple 100 feet, like through his house. Allowing people to come to his house to install it 25 feet up on a pole.
Right.
Of course, Stream Time Live and Kathy was the person that I talked to initially. Support from my wife, who is wonderful, Wendy. So it was really a lot of folks, and I couldn't have done it all by myself.
All right, well, good. I wanted to make sure that we showcased that was pretty big news this week, and
thanks, bud.
I know that you probably may not have wanted to talk so much about it, but I think that everybody else is interested in everything, and that's also what's driving a lot of the things that we're doing today is all of your efforts. So I thank you also.
Well, I appreciate that.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the shipping updates for this week.
Mm-hmm. So as we always talk about, we track the truck transactions, which is the official metric from the Port of Baltimore. And so they track these daily, and then I add them up, divide by 5, and come up with a daily average for that week. So 4 weeks ago, 3,372 per day. 3 weeks ago, 3,184 per day. 2 weeks ago, 3,477 per day. And this past week, ending today, Saturday, 3,270. I really thought we were trending up. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised to see it kind of meandering below 3,500 because we're starting to see 3 container ships line up out there. They're getting 3 in at a time. A lot of times there's only 2. Most of the time there's only 2. And we're starting to see container ships in the Anchorage and Annapolis. So I kind of thought that, what we had talked about, the increase of container traffic that they were expecting here in the spring, I thought that had kind of gotten its way to getting started, and maybe it seems like it hasn't.
I wonder, and I don't have any data to back this up right this second. So I'm going to probably spend this week and look at it a little bit.
Data
But,
boy.
yeah. So if data boy, is that my new title now? You know, do I need to get a Shipwatcher shirt that says data boy?
Well, earlier in the chat, I called you analysis boy.
Analysis boy. So yeah, okay. I can get the little name tag on there.
There you go. You just have to change the shirt.
That's right. The I think that there's a lot of influences here. It's not just okay. So you referenced, hey, we've got more ships coming in, or more regular routines of ships coming, ports of call. But that doesn't necessarily equate to the number of containers that they're going to be pulling off. They may still have the routes and the same routes, but they may not be populating it with enough containers to go and meet that particular metric demand. You also have to look at like some of the macroeconomic related aspects and what's happening with international trade, and if I'm sure that there are a lot of many people who are watching things at the federal level. Any of those changes to tariffs or international business decisions, all of that affects these metrics also. So if we start manufacturing more in the U.S. or making things domestically, you're not going to have those same transactions internationally. However, if you're manufacturing more here, you're exactly the general consensus is, well, then we would be exporting more, and so the import metrics are not going to collect what may be happening from an export perspective, and so I'm not too terribly worried about, hey, look, we've got these fluctuations where this moves up and down, because it may be because of what micro or macroeconomic related transactions could be affecting those nth type changes. Go ahead. I saw your finger up.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, because I didn't want to. The old I got to talk about stuff while it's.
Oh no, go ahead.
While I'm thinking about it. So, but when we're talking about exports, remember there was a story like during the bridge where they talked to this guy who runs like a metal or steel company.
I do, yeah.
Right? Remember that? And then there was a story that, I thought it was a great idea, and then we never really covered it because life is just, when that soybean farm up in Hampstead had like 180 containers of soybeans on the dolly. How cool would it be to do a little spotlight on some of these local exporters?
Yeah.
People that produce things here in the state or not, that export through the port. Maybe you could get a list of some of those, and maybe we could start. I mean, that would be cool.
And maybe even a chance to. It would be cool to interview a couple of those entities.
Right. Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay, sorry, yeah. We can look into that. I think it's. I don't think it's that. It would be that difficult to be able to identify who some of those companies are and see if they're willing to chat about their role within exporting out of the port. Sure.
Right. That would be a really cool feature, I think.
Cool.
Yeah. So back to the truck transactions. You and I talked to some people and talked to Jonathan Daniels, and he's expecting an uptick, and so we're thinking we're going to be up around 4,000 truck transactions per day. Within a month or two? What would you? That was end of first quarter.
Yeah, that was the sentiment. So I would be curious to see what over the next month, how close we get to that particular trend.
Because you say, there's a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah,
I really don't even want to talk about.
Right,
that might be affecting it.
Yeah, and I think that some of those influences are taking place now. But I wonder if we can also look at some trend analysis between truck transactions and then it kind of in the same analysis, equate that to the ship movements also. How many ships are coming on the port of calls for the particular day or week related to those truck transactions, and see if there's some trends related to that. But I think that there is a correlation between these truck transactions and the ships coming in on particular dates, and we can look at what's happening with that, especially with the exports. And because we don't have those export metrics, we may be able to get a better picture as to the full perspective of Port of Baltimore movements, to include some other metrics in this particular discussion.
So let's do a screen share real quick. All right, let's go to the website. Let's go to our www.baltimoreshipwatchers.com, and we're going to roll through the same thing shipping links, container ship schedule. Wait till you see this. Get this a second to come up. Look at March here. Look at the bottom of that.
Well, okay, that alone, if you, well,
that might indicate what I was talking about.
Yeah, I think that there may be a correlation there. Now, the only thing I will say, the only thing I'll say is we've looked at the future ship schedule,
and then it seems to
kind of smooth out a little bit. So
because you and I know there is no way they're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ships.
Yeah,
at Seagirt. They got room for 3.
Right.
What now? What it does beg the question, like, would they consider? This would be a really cool question to ask Jonathan, or maybe I need to find out on April 30th. We'll talk about that. I'll be able to meet the head of Ports America, and on that cruise, on the Seafarers cruise,
yes,
and have somebody that I can ask this question to.
Okay.
Would you guys ever consider taking the smallest container ship and putting it over Dundalk so you can run 4 container ships at once? If you had to. Because they do use those blue cranes on the little conrows. You know, they don't use them for the big ACL conrows, but the smaller, like Grimaldi conrows and the Arab conrows, they use those blue cranes over there. Just, you know, seeing 7 listed and 6 and 5, you know, it kind of.
But this alone does kind of help, you know, justify, that we should be getting some more higher, larger transaction metrics coming in because of the larger number, higher quantity of ships coming in.
Yeah. Oh, and look at this. This is probably going to be a big deal. They're probably going to make a big deal about this. This OOCL ship on the 14th, they only go to Norfolk. They don't come here.
Oh.
So
that is a big deal.
That is, I bet you there's going to be a big, social media push by the port to talk about that.
And if that's the case, then that's new service that's coming in that would justify the higher metrics.
Yeah. Yep. And I think there's new services here. I just wish, like, when you scroll down here and there's this key, this legend, I wish that I had, like, taken a screenshot of that, like, a year or 6 months ago. And then we could kind of compare and figure out, what some of these mean and who is new.
Sure.
That would be a cool comparison to do. But we didn't, so we can't. Too bad, so sad.
In other big news this week, members of the ILA, the International Longshoremen's Association, on Tuesday the 25th, voted to ratify the new master contract with port employees represented by the United States Maritime Alliance.
Man, that is big news.
99% of the rank and file members voted to approve the pact covering 24,000 workers in container handling ports all across the East Coast and the Gulf. This agreement is retroactive to October 1st, 2024. So remember, went through the whole process. There was a strike. There was a tentative agreement. There was a potential of a second strike. So there was some time that took place to go through this whole process, but it starts back October 1st. And it runs through September 30th, 2030. So we don't have to worry about this for another 5 3/4 years.
Well, that's wonderful. And I know I keep pointing out stuff like this, but, I think once you get beyond the problem, you kind of like, what's a big deal? Well, it is a big deal because if they stopped working, it would be a really big deal.
Correct. Absolutely.
So we definitely want to recognize the fact that, that there was an agreement. There was a pretty specific process, and they went through it. And 99%. That's great.
Yeah.
Are you kind of? I mean, it's great. I think it's incredibly positive, but I'm just like, wow, that's.
No, I think they did a good
percentage.
I think they did a good job as a union to band together as a collective, one voice in full support of this. They did a good job in that level of organization. So I don't, sometimes when you hear like there's 100% vote and for these types of things, you're like, I don't quite there might be a pressure, but I really do believe that this was a true metric on that. So that agreement addresses the record-setting wage increase, and so let me start over. So that agreement includes the record-setting wage increase. It addresses all of the automation concerns that both sides had. And you have accelerated wage increases for new ILA workers. The full container royalty funds are returned to the ILA, and then also addressed issues with contributions to money purchase plans and their health care plan and some of their vacation time. So it really did address some standing issues that they had. So that's now voted and in place. The USMX is expected to sign this agreement on, I believe it's March the 11th, but there's no expectation that there's going to be any challenges. It's just a completion of the whole formality at this point. So that's some good news there.
Well, and I don't want to downplay it. It's probably a legal requirement, but I meant everybody's kind of already agreed.
Yes,
you just need to sign the document.
That's part of the I guess the formal process. You have a certain procedure that you have to go through with signing it, and that's all that is.
Right. So. And let's go back in our story just a little bit. So, I heard, and I didn't see it, that they took like another big container ship and backed it like in that little river, which is Colgate Creek, and put it like next to Dundalk Marine Terminal. Like they did that again this week.
Okay, so what you're referring to is was it last episode?
Yes.
I think it was last episode. You showed, and I think it was you just said it was an evergreen ship.
Yes.
And so Colgate Creek is the creek that goes between Dundalk and Seagirt Marine Terminal.
Correct.
And we had talked about that going, okay, that was a little different because we hadn't seen that before.
Ever.
But you're telling me that it happened again.
Yes. Second through a worker friend of mine at the port said, hey, they did this again this week. And one morning, I think on my way to work, and I get up really early because I have a little bit of a commute. And the camera's always up on my laptop. And I think when I turned it on, I was like, what is that? Because when there's one of those huge container ships in a place where you don't normally see it,
right?
I mean, it stands out.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd mention that. So that's interesting. Maybe I can go through some of my contacts and just kind of ask around, like, hey, is this kind of a new regular, semi-regular accepted policy process that you guys are doing now? Because I don't ever remember seeing that. I mean, I was shocked when I saw that. And if they are, great. If they've figured out another way to, move things around so that it can be more efficient and get more ships in a more timely manner, that's great. I was just surprised to see it. And now it's happened twice in a week. So, or it's probably been 2 weeks or maybe 3, but a short time span. It's like,
And I know we chatted offline, after it happens the second time, is this routine? Is this a policy? Was this just another fluke? You'd be curious to see what the reasoning was behind it. All right. You've got a whole bunch of pictures.
Yeah. I got a few.
I think you've got some a picture of the Howard Street Tunnel project.
All right. So this is what's called a track mobile. So it's it's a piece of railroad equipment that typically isn't operating on the main line, like a big freight engine that pulls 100 box cars or 100 coal cars. This is meant for work, to go shorter distances, and so they don't have to use a whole engine. A track mobile, and they're called muck cars, supposedly. So as they're digging, so we did show a few pictures when they first started, didn't we?
Yes.
And you could see them, like, they had cut the rail and the tie out in, like, I don't know what to 200-foot sections, and like pulling it out of the tunnel. And so now I imagine, and it is a fact, they are lowering the rail bed. So I guess they're putting that material in these cars and then
hauling
it out to go somewhere. I have no idea where, but I can find that out maybe.
Okay.
Somebody asked about that. But yeah, I thought that was, it's not often you see the I-95 of railroads in Baltimore. It's basically what this is. The I-95 of railroads runs up and down the East Coast with no tracks on it. And they're doing construction, and it's closed. And again, this is to help lower the rail bed height, to be able to do double stack containers for the port.
Correct.
Yep. What's next on our agenda?
So yes, you also have some pictures of pre-construction of the bridge.
Yep. And so here they are, like right by, and so here's what I think is happening. They are in the area where they have to take samples of where the new expected bridge supports pylons are going to be. So we do see them out there on the water on the camera, and sometimes you can see them doing this land-based stuff, but it's tougher to see on the camera. It's a lot easier to see a barge in the middle of the water.
Sure.
But it does give you an idea. Oh, so that's where that new one is going to be, because they don't want to put them in the same place.
Correct.
Right. So,
and the reason why they're doing this drilling and soil sampling is when they go to actually put the pylons in, they want to make sure that they're going to adhere to, the earth and the ground, structure and components, to make sure that it's going to be stable and it's going to hold the bridge up and everything.
Yeah, to be able to support it. Correct. They need to know the density. And somebody told me this once. So they figure out the density. They calculate how many poundings or rams it will take they design the piles that they're going to drive into the earth. They could be different shapes, sizes, and so they calculate based on that density, I think. And then, so once they get close to that number and they're pounding in and then it's not going any farther, okay, well then that's it. Let's start on the next one.
Correct.
And then the concrete is put on top of those piles, and then they start to go up. That's what I was told. And if you're in this business and I'm totally wrong, Mike at BaltimoreShipwatchers.com, just tell me what's up, because we want to be accurate here.
Right.
And to be absolutely honest, I'm not a mariner. I'm just kind of fascinated by this stuff. So Kipp and I are kind of doing our part to just kind of help educate people about what's going on, and we're learning as we go. So if I say something stupid, Mike at BaltimoreShipwatchers.com.
Let us know so that let us know so that we can correct ourselves, so the general public would know. So
yeah. So those are cool. That's pretty wild.
It's interesting to see like the components of this particular machine and everything that's involved, just to go drill down to extensive depths to try to get the soil sample that far down.
Right, to see like machinery that you've never seen before. Kind of cool. What's next on the?
All right, so next you got I believe some pictures about the roll-on, roll-off farm and construction machinery equipment here. Is that correct? Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, what's the headline there? I think I got a little blurb.
Yeah, so in 2024, with 848,628 tons of roll-on, roll-off materials and equipment, the Port of Baltimore again handled more farm and construction machinery than any other port in the U.S. And so that's a testament to how well our RoRo and vehicle services or departments and terminal operators are, and the efficiency of moving that equipment on and off our Dundalk terminal.
Yeah, look at this. This looks like a paving kind of.
So the longshoremen have to be specialized in each one of these pieces of equipment to be able to offload them off of the ships.
Right. Can you imagine you have the ability to drive 100 different pieces of equipment? All right, get on, and you got to know how to do it.
Well, do you know how they do that? Do you know how they train it?
Why don't you? I think I know. Why don't you tell me?
So in April and May, in the springtime of every year, the Port of Baltimore hosts their RoRo rodeo. So so you know, like a traditional rodeo, you go out there.
Yeah, but I thought that was. Let me just interrupt you for a second, because obviously I have the wrong concept. I thought that was, hey, let's go have fun and drive this stuff around, not learn it. They're not. No. They're learning it at that time.
They're actually learning it. This is they call it the rodeo, but this is their opportunity to bring bring the representatives from all of the OEMs. So you get folks
equipment manufacturers for you kids at home.
Thank you. And so you have representatives from John Deere and Cat and whoever else may be importing or exporting vehicles. Yeah, this farm and construction equipment, and so they have their equipment out on the terminal, and they bring in the longshoremen to experience and learn and train on how to drive all of these vehicles. So they are all special. So when we talk about the knowledge base and the
different stuff,
they have to learn how to drive each one of those pieces of equipment to make it, to make sure they get it off and on the ships as safe and efficient as possible. That takes a lot to go and learn, how to operate each one of these vehicles.
Yeah, and I'm pretty confident that it's a lot different than just getting in 10 different cars.
Correct. And so they use the Ro-Ro rodeo as that means to bring in all of the manufacturers of these pieces of equipment, and then the rank and file members then have that opportunity to go and learn on each one of those pieces of equipment.
Look at this. Look at all that stuff.
So, as you look at this, anything that has wheels has the opportunity to be
and 10 things that don't have wheels.
Correct.
Like transformers and
in those situations they have a crane that lifts that heavy equipment onto a flatbed trailer called a Moffy, and then they roll it right into the ship. Right. So there was a post this week by the Baltimore City Business Development Corporation.
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, maybe you can talk to us about it, because I didn't know this existed. Maybe I'd heard about it in passing, and it just kind of went in one ear and out the other. And I'm wondering, in the current political climate, will this prevent that new stuff from happening?
No, I think it's two totally different situations. I've got some information from U.S. Customs and Border Protection that talks about what foreign trade zones are and what the purpose is and what the benefit.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No. This is so the Port of Baltimore resides inside of Foreign Trade Zone number 74. And it helps businesses to save on import duties and boost the efficiency of storing, assembling, and manufacturing goods before they enter into the U.S. commerce. And so this is based on an act from 1934 that created foreign trade zones and boards to review applications to establish this. But it was designed to promote American competitiveness by encouraging companies to maintain and expand their operations in the U.S. So what in essence what's happening is the foreign trade zone is like an international type zone or entity where you can import products and you can store them until such time that you're ready to use them. And at that point, you then pay the duty or tariffs associated with the import. And so it's a tool that can be used to help U.S. manufacturers to maximize their ability to assemble and manufacture in the U.S. So it's a really good benefit for importers who, hey, I want to buy something at the cheapest price, but I'm not ready to go and I can't use it yet because of my manufacturing process and timing. I can go ahead and purchase it, have it. And I'm not using the word import yet, but I'm having it delivered to the mainland of U.S., but it's stored in a foreign trade zone, which is a secure and locked facility outside of the commerce of the U.S. And so when a company is ready to actually import and go through the customs import process, they then process all of the paperwork. And now where the trade-off is that the warehousing and the foreign trade zone fees should typically be less than what you would paying for import and duty or the offset of the price of purchasing the products at a cheaper price. I know that's a lot of textbook legalese. In essence,
I got to be honest with you.
I
need like a diagram or something.
Sure. In essence, what this is you get to bring the products here at the cheaper price that you bought it. And then you can let it sit, and then you pay the duty and then have the final delivery and use that to your advantage to keep your costs lower.
So from a time standpoint,
correct.
Like, in other words, you're not paying like inventory taxes on this stuff that's sitting in a warehouse because the warehouse is within this zone.
Correct. It's outside of the commerce.
Now, is that most of it, or is that some of it? Is that the whole idea, or is that one of the ideas within the foreign trade zone concept?
That's the concept of the foreign trade zone.
Okay.
So it encourages U.S.-based operations by removing certain disincentives associated with manufacturing in the United States. In essence, it's a economic tool to help U.S. manufacturers to maximize on the ability to manufacture in the U.S.
Cool. Okay, great.
Now I know the manager with the BDC. So I'm going to reach out to Will Cawthorn this week and see if he can come and speak to us a little bit more about the value and the benefit of foreign trade zones and how companies utilize this service to help with port operations and their own manufacturing here in the U.S.
Cool.
So that was interesting here. I work with him a little bit with some projects, so I think we can have an opportunity there. All right, you've got we've had a couple of discussions here over the past couple of weeks about dredging.
Yes.
There's there's a video of the largest clamshell dredge in North America here.
Right. And so they're here doing typical winter maintenance dredging, which happens just about every winter. Sometimes they skip a winter. They don't do all the dredging like from the Bay Bridge up into Baltimore and all. They don't do it all at once. They kind of alternate, kind of like every other year. But interesting enough, they went like down into Curtis Creek and up by the Coast Guard yard. And now I don't know anybody that can validate this, but just from being a boater and knowing what the depths are back there and seeing the ships that come in and knowing that there are Coast Guard ships that can't get in there because it's too shallow.
Right.
The fact that and hearing from some Coast Guard employees that said, we haven't seen dredge back here in over 5 years. So the fact that they went back there is really cool.
Right.
Yeah. So let's try to share that and let's see. Okay. So, and actually this is like Arundel Cove, like as far back, like if you're going down Curtis Creek, you come through the railroad bridge, Coast Guard yard is on your left. Go to where the Coast Guard yard kind of ends and make a left and go back in that corner where they keep the smaller boats, and that's what you're looking at here.
That's what this is, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's play this video.
My name is Kevin Fenyak, and I've been with the Corps of Engineers Baltimore District for about 5.5 years now. My job title is Project Manager. I work in the navigation section of Operations Division. We're doing the maintenance dredging for the annual Baltimore Harbor and Channels project. The importance of this dredging is to keep all of the channels to their authorized project depth. So as time goes on, the channels shoal in and get shallower, and it makes it harder for the boats to navigate in and out of the harbor. So we're essentially just trying to clear out the debris and mud and keep the channels wide open. Processes to get everything kind of where we are today is before any dredging even starts, we have to do hydrographic surveys to see how much material is in the channels that we want to dredge. Once we have an idea of the depth of the material, we can bring the dredge out here and start digging. That dredge loads up scows, which are basically like floating dump trucks. And then we take that material and truck it off to a disposal site like Poplar Island, or in this case, Cox Creek. After the material is offloaded, we come back in and do another survey to kind of gauge the difference from the original survey we did, see how much material we've removed.
That's cool.
My name is Rob Calero. I'm the project manager for Curtin Maritime on the DB Avalon. Today we're dredging as part of the U.S. Army Corps Baltimore maintenance dredging project. This particular project is maintenance. It ensures that the channels stay clear for navigation. It allows vessels to come in, and the ultimate goal is safe navigation through the harbors, shipping channels. The DB Avalon is one of the largest dredges in North America. It's powered by a generator and a generative hybrid system that operates the crane. So with each bucket going down, it's spinning generators and repowering a battery bank. And it's an efficient dredge.
All right. I should have watched it like before we recorded it because I have so many like observations now. All right. So real quick, I'm going to interrupt. it was really cool that they did that video with the with the ice on the river. This stuff goes on no matter what. So you can't, even with ice covering, the surface, they still have to go in there and go and, do this dredging. So you're dealing with a lot of, difficult elements to, I noted, when they're talking about the survey scan, and then they go and they dredge and they do kind of redo that survey, very similar to what they were doing around the Key Bridge site with the scanning and the rescanning to make sure that they were hitting the depth. So that kind of, I kind of look at the Key Bridge project as, hey, look, let's we have these processes elsewhere within the maritime industry. We know that we can apply that to these specialized types of situations.
Right.
And then I saw, I was like, what, why are they dumping? Why are they dumping the dredge not just straight into the?
I know. I didn't know. I didn't know about like the giant screen for the junk.
Look at all. Did you see all the junk that was?
Yeah.
So again,
people like to throw stuff in the water. It's on the bottom. Who cares?
Yeah, it clogs up the channel, and then somebody's got to go dig it up. So that's that was very interesting.
Yeah. So and what makes that interesting? Because
I'm a nerd.
No, because we might be able to see this up close and personal.
Yes. So we do have an invite. We're hoping that next Saturday we'll be able to get out on the barge and get a sense of truly what the operation is. I hope to be able to get some pictures and videos to be able to share on this to explain a little bit more. So I'll start making my laundry list of questions to ask. So
yeah, and how this started was with me befriending one of the Army Corps engineer boat captains. I think he runs like the survey boat, Jake.
Yeah.
And, like, hey, you want to come on a podcast? He's like, well, yeah, I'd love to. We got to talk to the information officer first. And then that turned into, hey, you want to come out on a dredge? Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So that's going to be an incredible experience because by contract, they have to be done, by the end of this month or maybe the first week in April?
Okay.
So if we don't get out there, that thing's going to be gone, moving on to another project. We might not see it for another 5 years.
Right.
I mean, that specific dredge.
Right.
And that specific dredge is, see that thing? It looks like a ship.
Right.
The superstructure where the operators are and all that. I mean, it looks like a ship. What we typically do is we have another company that typically does the dredging. They didn't win the contract this year, but it's kind of more like a crane on a barge type of thing, right? And they just got a big crane with a big bucket and that's what we've always been doing. But I'm sorry they didn't win the contract, but this thing is really cool. When that thing pulled up, I was like, oh my God, look at this thing is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. I thought it was I didn't realize it had the electric component and has it self recharges itself.
Right. I think I may have heard that, but it didn't register.
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure I had heard about that, but I couldn't have repeated it because I had forgotten.
Sure.
But this dredge has these monster spuds. So big giant I-beams, for lack of a better term, that are vertical, and they drop them in the bottom. They're so heavy enough, it's just going in mud, right? And if they drop 2 or 3 or 4 of them, it holds the dredge in place. So it's not like you have to constantly have like 2 or 3 tugs with like the GPS idlers on to keep the dredge in the right, you drop that thing in, you drop those spuds in, that dredge isn't going anywhere. And it can do its work until it has to move, which would be really cool if they did this while we're out there, but I don't think hey, can you make this thing walk?
Right. I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
I mean, how cool would that be? That would be, I mean, just the engineering, because I think old school, there are these spuds can be cylinders, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just got like a giant pin, which probably wouldn't fit on your dining room table. I don't know how big it is really, right? But it has a giant pin, and they put, just a sling around the pin, and the crane just picks it up from the sling, and then they have a pin, and so the spud is up out of the water, or they pull the pin, lift it up, and then just drop it down. But I think these are motorized spuds that are like you just hit a button and they go up and down.
Sure.
And then they tilt, or at least two of them do. So this thing can effectively walk itself across. I'm like, what? An incredible piece of machinery. So
absolutely.
To have the opportunity to go out there, that's going to be pretty cool. So we'll have some really amazing content, hopefully, from that trip.
Absolutely, yeah.
Next week.
Start charging the batteries up on the camera.
Yeah, really.
All right. Upcoming events, March the 27th. That's a Thursday, 5 to 8 p.m. The Baltimore Port Alliance Bull and Oyster Roast at the cruise terminal. And that benefits the Port Alliance's operations. $75 a ticket per person. So go to BaltimorePortAlliance.org to get some more information on that.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the announcement from our friend Reverend Josh. The Baltimore Seafarers International cruise is going to take place on Wednesday, April the 30th. It leaves at 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I know that if you he's put up on his social media channels the information for registration. We'll see if we can't continue to push that through the Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also Google search Baltimore Seafarers International at their website to get that information also.
I want to fill up that cruise with ship watchers.
That would be great.
I want to fill it up. So and they do have the bigger boat this year. So
oh, good, yeah, because it was pretty.
They normally use the Raven, which is it looks like an old boat, but it's not. It's kind of cool because it's got like the old school kind of like curved deck, right? It almost looks like a big tugboat, sort of, not really, but. And then last year, because of the popularity, because of the bridge coming down, they had to get a bigger boat, which is really cool.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a chance for you to kind of see what's going on from the water side of the port. If you've never had a chance to see it, it's really cool to see everything. But it is a narrated tour, and so they'll teach you everything as they go through, and I probably get up close to the bridge site again like we did last year.
I would imagine. And I would imagine we'd be able to get a lot closer this year. I mean, it'd be really cool if we could kind of swing through there. That would be amazing. Sure. Yeah.
So that's Wednesday, April the 30th. National Maritime Day commemoration is Sunday, May the 18th. That'll be out on Pier 13 in Canton.
And we'll have an easy up tent table out there. The owners from Streamtime Live will be with me at the table.
Oh, so wow.
Come and meet the people who run the cameras and make them work every day. And you don't realize how much work goes into them until one of them stops working for some reason. And Mike just goes, "Oh my God, can you please fix this? I have no clue."
Sure.
And then they get it working again. And I really have no idea.
That'll be really sure. That'd be really cool to have them there for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We will also be broadcasting the commemoration ceremony. That will start about 11:30. So we're going to get some of that stuff worked out with the Savannah staff, and we'll have some more information on that coming.
And we're going to try to do it on the YouTube channel, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We'll push it through the Shipwatchers YouTube channel so that you can see that as a live event.
Awesome.
And then we got some information this week that for Maryland Fleet Week and the flyover for Baltimore is transforming into Sail 250 Maryland and Air Show Baltimore. Okay, and so this is going to be the week of June 24th to July 1. We've had Nan from Sail Baltimore on with us to discuss what some of these events are like and what's involved. But this will be a great time coming up this summer to be able to see some flyovers and some
next year.
Is it next year?
Yeah, it's 26.
26.
But it is a really big deal because it's supposed to be, a flyover. It's supposed to be an air show, not just a smaller flyover, and combined with Fleet Week. So pretty big event. Yeah.
So that's in 2026. I wasn't looking at my notes close enough.
It's okay. I got
so as we progress towards that, we will be providing some information because that's going to be a very big event here in the port.
Yes.
All right. In our history segment, you got a picture that I'd like to.
Oh, yes, I do.
Here. So the Baltimore on February 28th. So this is the day before today. February 28th, 1827, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad became the first U.S. railway chartered for commercial transportation for freight and passengers. Investors hoped that the railroad would allow Baltimore, the second largest city in the U.S. at the time, to successfully compete with New York for Western trade. New Yorkers were profiting from the easy access to the Midwest with the Erie Canal. So that was kind of the reasoning behind that.
I never really thought about competition.
Yeah. So between what was happening,
kind of dumb. I never thought. I was just, we want to, I never thought about it as, competing with New York.
The Erie Canal in the St. Lawrence waterway and then going into the Great Lakes was the big push behind this.
Right. And then there's a whole system of canals that go across New York State from the Hudson, right? And way back when ships were a lot smaller, those might have been, I would imagine they were commercial canals. And I don't know my New York Canal history, but maybe that was part of the competition.
Sure. So on the 125th anniversary of this date, this was back in 1952, there was a commemorated stamp, a 3-cent stamp that you see right here on the screen that was issued to commemorate the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. So the background of this design depicts the charter granted to the railroad by the Maryland legislature in 1827. And the design included a pioneer car, the Tom Thumb. So you can see the top. That's the first American built steam locomotive. That's what you see here in the middle. And then a modern diesel locomotive that was common for 1952, which is what you see on
those beautiful E units. Yep.
Yeah. And then in the original main line of the B&O stretched from Baltimore to Wheeling on the Ohio River, and then it eventually reached Chicago and St. Louis. So February the 28th is an important day for us with the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad going into the Port of Baltimore.
Yep. And I just wanted to say, and don't forget your little piece of history, because, all the little stations along the line, right? Way back when the railroad was horse-drawn, so each one of those stations were so they could give the horses a break and give them water and change out the horses. Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
That's a function of where everything was back then.
Huh.
Now, a lot of them are gone now because we don't do that anymore, but
sure,
that's the original history about why things were.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you want to learn something, you probably should listen to it. I just learned something. How about that?
All right, I think we're done.
Yeah, you got some new swag in?
Sort of. So we are Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. We try to just try to help educate folks about the port and promote what's going on at the Port of Baltimore. We have a Facebook group that's approaching 16,000 members here in our 8th year. As we approach our 8th year. And we're all over social media, Twix, shout out Amy Lawrence, Instagram, Reddit, Threads. If you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, give us a like, hit the bell, and subscribe to be alerted to new podcasts as they come available. And if you find the information that we give out every week about the port, all these background details about how things happen, please share the link or the podcast with your friends, family, hobbyists, associates, work friends, whatever. Because our job is to get information about the port out to folks so that they know what's going on.
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that if you want the audio version of this, if you're driving around, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you can pick us up there also.
Right. So as always, if you go to our website, go to the merch page. There's a link to a place where you can buy yourself, some coffee cups, some T-shirts, and the cool thing about this T-shirt is, this old school Key Bridge logo is big on the back of it. So that's a really cool thing to have. Or our classic logo is on the hat. That's like the bow of a ship in the Maryland colors. Just about every ship we see come in here has a red bottom and a black top. And so put yellow in the middle and you've got Maryland colors on your logo. And then we have some new magnets and stickers. So they're a couple dollars a piece or something, and send me a couple of bucks, and we'll get them in an envelope and out to you. And those instructions should be on the website.
Good.
Yep. So I was looking, as we, get together and kind of write up what we're going to talk about today, and I'm like, there's really not a whole lot there. And how long do we have on this recording?
I know. It went past the hour a long time ago.
Right.
It's all right.
All right, my friend.
Yep. It's been a pleasure. Why don't we go ahead and count this one off? You ready?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
3, 2, 1. Happy ship
watching. All right, everybody. Appreciate you hanging out with us and watching, and we'll talk to you next week.
Do we know why that the other container was backed into Colgate Creek?
I assume they needed the room at the terminal, and that's just from one of my online buddies told me about it. He's a guy that either works for Cirrus. I know he works at the terminal. I know he goes back and forth between Seagirt and Dundalk.
I didn't know if it was because there was a policy change or hey, we've got to start doing this now.
Well, I see what you're saying, and I thought the exact same thing. Like I want to go, Facebook some of my tugboat captain friends, and just say, hey, is this
new policy or
is this kind of a new thing that you guys are going to do semi-regular? Because I don't remember this ever happening before, and now it's happened twice in 1 month.
Yeah. And after the second, the first time is like, oh, okay, sure, whatever.
Okay, it's a rarity. That never happens. Look at that. Okay.
And then the second time, it's like, yeah, right.
Doggy head tilt.
I'm glad that I recorded this.
Until you look silly, and then maybe not.
Well, how about I put that little head bop into a repeat? So we're doing the Saturday Night Live
totally
night at the Roxbury.
Totally do it.
All right.
Oh my God, totally do it.
Master.
So, but back to our goofy conversation at the restaurant.